Hello, this is Brittany Hall, and I will be covering the AASL Standards for Students. The American Association of School Librarians developed a set of standards to guide school librarians in their practice. These standards support the development of 21st century skills in students through digital citizenship and information literacy. It is crucial for students to have ample practice with these skills, so many of the standards overlap with what classroom teachers are already doing, but there are key differences in the support that the librarians can offer. The AASL standards are organized into 6 major categories: inquire, include, collaborate, curate, explore, and engage. We will look at each of these categories in detail, providing distinctions between the classroom teacher's role and that of the librarian. Inquire. This standard asks students to build new knowledge by inquiring, thinking critically, identifying problems, and developing strategies for solving problems. First, we will look at the teacher's role. Effective teachers develop student-driven lessons related to their specific curriculum content. They may engage students in inquiry through practices like developing a KWL or knows and needs to knows chart. These activities help students activate their prior knowledge while identifying areas that they need to learn more about. The Socratic seminar is another way to encourage students to continually ask questions about information that has been presented in order to understand the deeper meaning. Teachers encourage students to locate evidence to support their stance on a topic and make real-world connections with content in the classroom. In order to foster inquiry in students, it is important to provide them with timely feedback. In my own classroom, I have asked students to closely read a particular passage from a text. Close reading involves asking questions of a text in order to better understand what it is saying. Students must then develop claims about what the passage means and support their claims with evidence from the text. Librarians also support inquiry through student-driven content. Most often, this comes in the form of research support. Librarians can take a question that students have and help them develop an arguable research question that will guide their research. Librarians also support students by helping them develop a plan for their research, understanding that research is a cyclic process. Part of inquiry involves asking questions of the text, just as in an English classroom. Librarians support students in their analysis of informational text, which helps students see the connections between their own inquiry and the world around them. Specifically, in my own library, I will support students in their content and personal research projects. This begins by explaining the research process and helping them develop a question that will guide their research. I will demonstrate how to pull out keywords from the research question that they will be able to use to help identify potential resources. Additionally, I will provide thesis statement workshops, helping students revise thesis statements so they are both clear and arguable. Include. This standard states that students will demonstrate an understanding of commitment to inclusiveness and respect for diversity in the learning community. It is important for teachers to create a safe environment for all students. This sets a standard for inclusion in the classroom. Throughout course instruction, teachers should be sure to include multiple perspectives, acknowledging contribution from a wide range of experts. This also means that students should feel able to ask questions and engage in respectful debate. Developing relationships with students is my #1 priority. If they don't feel safe and seen, they will be less likely to engage in class content. I start by creating a safe environment for my students on day 1. Rather than covering the syllabus, we participate in culture-building, social-emotional learning lessons. My students look for ways to define themselves as learners. During that first week, they create an artistic representation of themselves that they can see on the classroom walls throughout the entire school year. Just like in the classroom, the librarian should create a warm and welcoming environment for all students. When students enter the library, they should see themselves represented in the books on the shelves, but they should also be provided with the opportunity to learn about other perspectives through the library's resources. Librarians should encourage students to think critically about texts they encounter. One of the benefits of working in the library is that the librarian has the opportunity to work with all students. Through open discussion and debate, the library can become a place where students test their wings in terms of participation in the global community. As a librarian, I plan to collaborate with teachers in all content areas in order to reach all of my students. Because the library is a place of collaboration and inclusion, I will encourage my students to turn to one another for guidance and support. Not only does this encourage students to include each other in their educational experiences, it recognizes students as experts as well. Just as in my classroom, I will ensure that the library is a safe place where all students feel welcome and represented. Collaborate means to work effectively with others to broaden perspectives and work towards a common goal. Collaboration in the classroom is not limited to the students. Teachers should feel open to working with colleagues and community partners as well. This sets a precedent for students who will be expected to work in small and large groups throughout their time in the classroom. Part of collaboration is learning how to communicate effectively and respectfully with those around you. Students are provided this opportunity through group projects and classroom discussions. My students participate in project-based learning. This requires them to develop skills to work effectively with one another to complete the project or solve a problem. Often, they are required to create a product such as a website that they will share with others. They quickly learn to work together and respect the views of their peers. While librarians may not work with the same group of students every day for the entire semester, they still develop collaboration skills with their students. Students can be grouped together based on common interests, questions, or learning goals. By working together to locate resources from diverse perspectives, they can develop a new, deeper understanding of the problem and solution than they may have by simply working alone. Students in the library participate in problem-based learning activities where they must learn to work together to reach a solution. This makes learning a social activity. Students learn to provide quality feedback to each other in order to successfully complete their goals. As I mentioned, I would group students based on common interests or research questions. I would encourage them to collectively develop a question and keywords. From there, they can divide the research work, locating resources necessary to answer the research question. When they come back together, they can share their resources and debate the validity of pieces. Students find that this makes research tasks more manageable when they can work together, and they will learn from each other's experiences. Curate. This standard asks students to make meaning for oneself and others by collecting, organizing, and sharing resources of personal relevance. Teachers often curate resources in their classroom. They organize information in a logical manner, allowing ideas to build upon one another. Curation often involves organizing both physical and digital resources for students in their classes. While students work through particular problems, the teacher will suggest potential resources that might assist students. As an English teacher, I curate resources for my students through books that I have available in the classroom. Our classroom collection has a wide variety of resources. As I continue to develop relationships with my students, I add pieces to the collection that will support individual needs as well as interests. Curation is a key component of an effective library. Librarians organize research and reference materials, directing students to sources that they might find helpful. This is also done with a diverse collection of fiction texts. Through curation, librarians encourage students to think critically about information that they have found. Critical thinking is an essential component of both digital citizenship and information literacy. When students have found resources that best meet their informational needs, librarians assist them in organizing or curating their own information in a way that would make sense for users. When assisting students with research in my library, I will help them locate resources that will support their information needs. The CRAP test is one way to help students make important decisions about information that they include. Once students have located their resources, I will help them organize their information for maximal impact. I will encourage the students to share curated information with others who have common interests. This collaborative step will help students evaluate their work and identify gaps in their information. Explore. Students are expected to discover and innovate in a growth mindset developed through experience and reflection. Teachers should encourage students to be curious about their course content. By asking questions, students can learn to identify problems and develop skills that will help them address these problems. During exploration, teachers should encourage students to reflect on the information they've discovered as well as their own educational practices. Part of supporting student exploration is providing timely feedback on both their questions and the work they submit. I strive to help students see that they are agents in their own education by allowing them to explore curricular content in a manner that makes sense to them. By allowing them to ask questions, they take ownership in their own education. Through the close reading activities mentioned earlier, students are able to explore text to make new meaning. They are encouraged to share their explorations and discoveries with their classmates as well. The library is a place for exploration. Students can discover resources, both fiction and nonfiction, that support the love of reading, but they can also find and create new information to answer their own questions. Makerspaces are found in many libraries. These resources provide students with the opportunity to experiment and learn a new skill. As librarians oversee activities in the library, they should support education through encouragement, to try new things and providing feedback for students. As a librarian, I intend to get to know students in the school and discover what students are interested in. I will create displays and hold events in the library that can help students see the library as a place for individual exploration and learning. The library will be their space to explore things that interest them, supporting both academic and personal growth. Engage. Students will demonstrate safe, legal, and ethical creating and sharing of knowledge products independently while engaging in a community of practice and an interconnected world. Depending on the classroom, students will have various opportunities to incorporate technology into their education. Effective and ethical use of technology should be emphasized in the classroom. Most often, this comes in the form of reminders to stay on task and use technology for educational purposes only. When students are sharing the information that they've discovered with their fellow classmates, they should be reminded of the importance of citing their resources. In my English class, students often use technology to locate resources and create information products. It is a standard expectation that they will give credit to the original author of any outside information they include. They are reminded that technology is a tool to be used to support their educational development. Librarians are often seen as the digital citizenship instructors in school. They demonstrate effective use of technology through lessons that they teach. This includes teaching students how to use technology to locate resources and databases, as well as through general internet searches. Librarians remind students how to make use of the resources they locate by citing all sources, even when information is paraphrased. They can support students' generation of information by showing them how to use tools to showcase their understanding. They encourage students to create new information using their analysis of resources that they have found. Librarians provide lessons on Creative Commons licensing, allowing students to safely share their work with others. In research lessons, I will emphasize the importance of providing new perspectives on the information that students locate. Students will be encouraged to experiment with technology to share their findings with classmates and the global community. I will have lessons on Creative Commons licensing. Not only will this help students share what they have learned, but it will help them understand how they can legally use information that they have found. Librarians and teachers will both cover digital literacy standards with their students. Because librarians are experts in digital citizenship and information literacy, they can help students effectively and ethically interact with information from a wide range of resources. Teachers will tie this into their content areas, but librarians have the flexibility to allow students to freely explore information in ways that they find relevant. As technology and information leaders, librarians are an integral resource for both students and teachers within their school.